Remember, pay attention, y'all. They have to let us know first before they can do anything to us. That's heavenly rules, right? That's how God laid it out for these little demon mother. They can't with us without letting us know that they're about to with us.
Warner, who was rescued by onlookers, die after receiving treatment from the Red Cross.
Then let's go to the date he actually died on, which is July 20th, which is the 201st day of the year. Yeah, can anybody tell me why The Cosby Show ran for a total of 8 seasons, equaling 201 episodes?
Going through a period that I was having a struggle with hopelessness.
Oh, okay.
And it was just really, the world is just in a dark place.
Yeah.
They're gonna come for you. You're way too clean for this game. That's exactly what Eddie Griffin told Malcolm-Jamal Warner behind closed doors. It wasn't for some interview. It was a real friend's serious warning. And now Malcolm is gone, dead after mysteriously drowning while vacationing in Costa Rica. But the way the story's twisting around now, something shady is definitely going down. First, they claimed Malcolm drowned while heroically trying to save his daughter. That was everywhere, on headlines, trending on social media. US Weekly literally said Malcolm went under trying to rescue his little girl from a deadly riptide. But now the story's changed again, and they're saying Malcolm's daughter wasn't even in the water with him when it happened. And here's what's extra fishy. Malcolm's wife wasn't even there at the beach that day.
A mutual friend. I've never second-guessed it. We've been together almost 10 years, and we have never had a fight, an argument, a raised voice, or a harsh word said to
In 10 years?
I was like, if I'm going to have a kid, this is the person that I would want to have it with. I talk about them because there are obviously the hugest parts of my life, the best parts of my life, the best decisions I've ever.
Now, we're expected to believe Malcolm, an incredibly devoted father, took his 8-year-old daughter alone to a dangerous beach with no lifeguard, and with warning signs clearly everywhere. Come on, that doesn't add up at all. And if his daughter wasn't swimming, like the news story claims, that means Malcolm would have left his little girl alone on a risky beach while he went out swimming by himself? That's straight up unbelievable. Malcolm would never knowingly put his daughter in harm's way. This man loved his family more than anything. He literally prayed to have a daughter and openly talked about manifesting her. In Malcolm's final interview, just days before he died, he made it crystal clear that his wife and daughter were his entire world. And now he's gone? Nothing about this situation feels right. So what actually went down at that beach in Costa Rica? Eddie Griffin didn't warn Malcolm-Jamal Warner just for kicks. He's been in Hollywood long enough to know exactly how this dirty industry works. Eddie knew exactly how big of a target Malcolm had on his back. A black man in Hollywood with no scandals, no puppet masters pulling his strings, and 0 meltdowns. Plus, Malcolm was actively calling out the system and trying to uplift young black boys. Trust me, the powers that be hated that. Malcolm never played the shady Hollywood game. He minded his own business, worked on his own terms, and refused to sell out for clown roles. He stayed low-key, but was silently watching and reconnecting with people like Dave Chappelle and Mos Def, artists who famously turned their backs on Hollywood's toxic nonsense. That's exactly why Eddie kept pulling Malcolm aside, telling him straight up, "They'll get you if you stay clean. They hate clean."
So even before conception, we were very clear we were having a girl. And I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it, because I have a pretty good idea of what kind of father I would be. So I needed a girl to kind of, slow me down and warm and soften me up, if you will. So for me, raising my daughter, I came into fatherhood already with a certain maturity and certain understanding of male-female dynamics. And with a girl, all of that starts with the father. So I've always, since I literally pulled her out of my wife.
So if you're getting a weird feeling that Malcolm-Jamal's death doesn't seem accidental, you're definitely not alone. Lots of folks are talking about the same thing Eddie Griffin warned Malcolm about, especially considering how suspiciously the media keeps flipping the story. Right after Malcolm-Jamal's death hit the headlines, they first said he drowned alongside his 8-year-old daughter after getting caught in a rip current. But not even 2 days later, Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Agency suddenly switched things up. Now they're claiming Malcolm and his daughter were initially just playing by the shore. But then his daughter supposedly left the water before Malcolm got swept away by the riptide. They're also saying Malcolm and a friend both got pulled into the current, and only the friend managed to escape. Hold up, this wasn't in the original story. At first, they claimed there was just one man who tried to save Malcolm and almost drowned himself. Now there's supposedly a friend involved too. This whole story is changing way too fast. They're spinning the narrative so hard, it's suspicious as hell. Eddie Griffin knew exactly what he was talking about. Malcolm was clean, too clean for Hollywood. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly why he's not here anymore. But check this out. Now the authorities in Costa Rica are switching the story again. Suddenly, they're claiming Malcolm was dragged from the ocean by several people on the beach. And not just regular folks, but supposedly 3 random tourists who happened to be doctors. These 3 doctors apparently saved the other guy who almost drowned, but somehow none of them could save Malcolm? That sounds mad suspicious. This constantly changing story definitely feels shady. And you don't even have to be into conspiracy theories to see that something isn't right. Fans and locals quickly pointed out another super sketchy detail. Playa Cocos, the exact spot Malcolm drowned, is infamous as one of the most dangerous beaches in Costa Rica. 0 safety measures, deadly rip currents, and absolutely no lifeguard protection.
This is the beach where all this unfolded, but really, as soon as you get here, even before you get onto the beachhead, you can see some warning signs for people who are coming to enjoy the day here. It says Corrientes de Resaca todo el año. Basically warning people there is a current here throughout the year. You can see there are warnings for surfers, there's warnings about wave conditions, and then take a look at this massive sign says you can survive a rip current. Clearly, they're warning people about the conditions that can develop, and unfortunately, the conditions appear to have pulled out.
Academic studies literally label Playa Cocos as the country's deadliest beach. Rip currents so fierce that even Olympic swimmers have gotten caught out. And now we're supposed to believe Malcolm casually took his 8-year-old daughter swimming there while his wife conveniently stayed back at the hotel? And just by coincidence, no lifeguards were around that day. Even the local Volunteer Lifeguard Association admitted openly that the beach was totally unpatrolled because they simply didn't have enough resources. But warning signs about drowning risks are everywhere. So why on earth would Malcolm ignore them? So let's break this down again. First, the media pushes a dramatic hero narrative about Malcolm dying while rescuing his daughter, then suddenly scraps it all together. Then they completely go silent. All of this at a beach already notorious for deaths, no lifeguards, and clear signs warning people to stay out of the water. That's way too many coincidences. These red flags are impossible to ignore, because if this was genuinely just an unfortunate accident, why does the official story keep changing? And why did they initially make everyone believe Malcolm's daughter was fighting for her life until they decided to change things up? And here's another thing. Why no official press conference or any actual footage of the immediate aftermath? Knowing what Eddie Griffin already warned Malcolm about, how staying clean in Hollywood puts a target on your back, how they'll come for you if you refuse to sell out, it definitely seems like somebody saw all this coming, planned ahead, and made sure the narrative played out exactly how they needed. Malcolm definitely wasn't your typical Hollywood celebrity. He refused to play their shady games and flat-out rejected roles that humiliated black men. He wouldn't compromise himself, put on dresses, or act foolish just to satisfy Hollywood execs. But Malcolm wasn't quiet about it either. He openly called out Hollywood, especially how white studio executives and producers push black actors into embarrassing, degrading roles. Back in 2021, Malcolm dropped an explosive op-ed for the Television Academy. He boldly stated that white network executives, producers, writers, and directors completely control how black people are portrayed on TV. Malcolm exposed the industry's dirty trick, occasionally letting Black creators think they had some control, but still pushing the same old tired stereotypes, even if characters had money, good jobs, or higher status. But Malcolm didn't stop there. On his podcast, Not All Hood, he went even harder, exposing how Hollywood and mainstream media keep painting Black people with the same broad brush, recycling harmful stereotypes again and again. Malcolm wasn't afraid to call them out loudly and clearly. He also openly criticized the current state of rap and hip-hop, calling out toxic masculinity, misogyny, and negativity. Malcolm demanded accountability and pushed for healing in the Black community. But of course, the big record labels hated hearing that. Why? Because those labels rake in cash by promoting division and negativity, and Malcolm's uplifting message directly threatened their money. Maybe Malcolm's outspoken honesty finally went too far for some powerful people in Hollywood. It's also crazy how, during the Kendrick versus Drake drama last year, Malcolm was one of the only celebs who didn't choose a side or fuel the flames. Instead, Malcolm boldly called it all out as a distraction, saying it was sad how hip-hop only gets mainstream shine when it's beef, violence, or negativity. Clearly, Malcolm wasn't afraid to speak his mind and refused to feed into Hollywood's toxic drama. He never played it safe, always pushing against the narrative, refusing to sell his soul. And maybe, just maybe, he finally got too close to some dark truths. That's why Eddie Griffin's warning wasn't just random chatter. It was a legit heads up about the dangerous game Malcolm was in. And it's exactly why Malcolm's death feels way too convenient. Eddie just made this crystal clear by posting an emotional tribute on Instagram, writing, "My heart is heavy today. For what the world lost was a father, a son, a poet, a musician, an actor, a teacher, a writer, a director, a friend, a warrior that I had the pleasure of going to war with against the Hollywood machine." But here's where the story turns even darker. Some Hollywood insiders are now whispering that Malcolm had been digging into something far bigger and more dangerous than just the Hollywood machine. Allegedly, Malcolm was getting ready to expose a shocking secret, something the elites would literally kill to protect. In one of Malcolm's final Instagram posts, he shared a cryptic message. "It's just words. It's just entertainment. You're looking into it too deeply. Okay, because I know we can do better. Hopefully this leads to growth all around. The culture is on life support." Now, was Malcolm trying to send us a deeper message? Was he telling us to pay closer attention, to question everything we've been told? Malcolm was definitely onto something heavy, something real, and it might have cost him his life. What do you think really happened to Malcolm-Jamal Warner? Is Hollywood covering something up? Was Malcolm getting way too close to a dangerous truth? Sound off in the comments. And if you liked this breakdown, don't forget to smash the like button. Subscribe for more updates and hit the notification bell so you never miss a juicy story like this one. See you in the next one.